Yes, family tree, welcome to Movement Decoded, and we're going to be breaking down the Alger French today, also known as the front cartwheel. This is a great movement to have in your arsenal, especially when it comes to exploring acrobatics, because it's very accessible and there's lots and lots of links stemming from this movement, and there's loads of variations that come into it and to come out of it. So it really serves as a nice juncture point for our mixed movement for our acrobatic realm. So if you're joining in with me now on this video, I hope we've warmed up a little bit, or at least we're in a suitable physical capacity to carry out some of these movements. What we're going to do here will be served as a dynamic warm-up, but more specific to the front cartwheel. So make sure you feel quite loose in the joints and you feel a little bit more stretched and open before we come into this territory here. The first movement we're going to do is a single arm hip bridge rotation. And it's to be able to find this push through the shoulder from one angle, and then a push through the shoulder in the other angle. So we're going to take our right leg up, squeeze the knee in behind the left knee, rotate from the knees, the hips, the belly, the chest, making sure to give this a little inch push out of the shoulders. We squeeze through the glutes, lift up through the hips, and then retrace the steps. Chest to knees, back down. Onto the other side, left knee behind, rotate, lift up through the hips, pushing into the shoulder. Can we make sure the shoulder is actually above the hand, if not a tiny bit over towards the fingers, to build that appropriate strength into the lats and into the shoulders. So let's just find a few each side here. I'll show from a different angle. So in our active table, knee squeezes in behind, rotate from the knees, the hips, pushing through the shoulders, squeezing through the glutes, and then rotating back down. Making sure we're breathing, inhale to the apex, exhale as we release. Okay, next movement we're going to go to, pretty much straight off the bat of that as well, keeping that same shape, but this time using the glutes to press through the shoulder. We're going to hold into this position, but play with this ipsilateral hover, so same hand, same foot onto the ground, the free arm helping with counterbalance. Can we come up onto the toes of the trailing foot? If we feel quite stable there with a few taps, maybe lift up through the leg. If we feel stable here, can we find a bit of an extension and a hold, keeping stable there. Want to be quite loose and adaptable in this position as well. Recommend holding that for a couple rounds of 10 to 30 seconds, just depending on how you feel and the strength as we develop this movement. So again, on the other side, finding that single arm hip bridge push, shoulder over the wrist at least, maybe just taps, ipsy taps with the trailing foot. If we feel stable, knee drawing up. Yeah, this is actually my least dominant side, so I should work on this a lot more. Good, holding here 10 to 30 seconds. I actually need to freaking work on that. Humbling. We're going to find a very similar movement we did to the first one, the single arm hip bridge, but taking it round through a different rotation of the shoulder. So we're going to start in a squat position. Call this the static forward baby macaco. Anyway, in our squat position, we'll start with the left hand reaching across as it just comes in front of the right foot. And the fingers are actually going to turn out to the side a little bit. So we come down like so. From here, the left leg steps past the hand, and then the trailing leg steps all the way behind. We lift up through, and then we can retrace the steps. Push, back into the squat. For the other side, the right hand comes across, fingers turn the same direction to open up into the shoulder. We step the outside leg past the hand, the trailing leg follows, rotate through the hips, and draw ourselves back. So in real time here, I'll demonstrate on a few angles for you to have a go. Hand across, step, sweep, lift, and just any way it comes back to neutral, hop it back, step, lift, and release. Okay, from another angle. So starting with the right hand reaches across, fingers turn that way. Both hands can support. The outside leg steps, the trailing leg sweeps, and we lift. Making sure that step really comes past the hand. So as the left hand comes down, step past the hand to find that rotation on the same line. Okay, have a few of those. Pause the video if you need to. Don't know why I'm saying that, you probably do that anyway. Next movement, bloody. What is it? Exactly the same movement. Exactly the same, but we're gonna make it dynamic now. So scale up to this one. If you feel comfortable enough already, we're gonna do a baby forward macaco now, this time. And it's the exact same trajectory around the shoulder, exact same placement, but without step. You kind of just hop straight into it and feel the rotation of the hips and the chest. So as I plant the hands down, I hop and try to land high up, squeezing through the glutes into that hip bridge. Demonstrate a couple angles. As the hands come across, it sends my legs out to the side, hips rotate. Lifting up high. So, from a different angle. Hands reach across. Instead of step, just lift and rotate the hips. Really let the circular motion help with that rotation and commit to the chest opening to the sky. If you want to add a little bit more onto that one, what we can do is start to try and land on our feet so we really commit to the squeeze of the bum cheeks, standing up tall through the chest. So I come over, use that momentum to come up to standing. Okay, that is the dynamic warm-up portion kind of done. Now we're ready to map the full front cartwheel. I spoke like that as if I was going to pause and cut the video. I'm just going to go straight into it. Next movement, our cartwheel. I broke this down in a previous movement research video. This one going to be up nice and high. Oh, I could have definitely added a little click button there. Anyway, afterthoughts. Cartwheel here. Hand, reach, hop, and land. Hand, reach, hop, and land. We want to be well versed in the cartwheel. So we want to feel quite comfortable being upside down as well. And having the legs nice and high and strong. Have a few of those. Just get used to turning the world upside down. And then, I actually cannot remember what the next thing we were going to do was. Oh yeah, hip rotation. So exactly kind of what we've done here, but it's a little bit more controlled and a little bit more linked to the forward cartwheel now. So, same thing, but we're going to land very strong on the landing leg. So I want you to do a cartwheel, high, and land strong here. This trailing leg, high, long, and strong. Try not to have it slack. Really be honest with this having tension as we lift up. What we're going to add into that is that hip rotation. So we land controlled, land, rotate, point through the toe, and we want to land in this position here. Like so, pointing through the foot, toes nice and high, long and strong through this leg. That becomes so important. That stingray tail becomes so important for this movement. So we land strong onto that leg, rotate, pointing through the foot. This is me testing both sides as well. I'm joining in with you in this session because my right hand leading is terrible. So again, hips rotate, we land strong, affirmatively, rotate, and go for it. What's a really nice supplementary drill that we can add on to is have a little bit of a marker. Just have this bench handy. What we're gonna do, bloody hell, is the same movement here, ipsilateral like we did on the ground, but here pointing through the foot, we tap down, we keep controlled, and draw back up. You can really be creative with this one here. Tap and go down. It doesn't have to be this height. The higher it is, the easier it's gonna be. The lower down it is, the more challenging it's gonna be as well. And we don't have to touch the floor in order to get the cartwheel because we're using momentum. This is actually just building in, using that body tension to come through. Let me do the other side because I'm just gonna train as well. This is my weak side. So I lean back, tap, push back up. Yeah, practice what you preach, innit? Bloody hell. Back up, coming down. Tap, and up. So that's a nice supplementary drill that we can add on to. Now, once we feel quite comfortable landing strongly on that foot, we're gonna use it with a bit of momentum. Doesn't matter there. Keeping the shape, same shape, keep the action. Find that rotation through the hips. Nice and smooth. See, I almost fell there, but because of the tension, it brought me into the landing as well. Now what's important here? Hand placement. So for the cartwheel, we tend to have our hands on this lateral plane, like so. For our forward cartwheel, what forces into kind of those warm-up drills we did is our hand placement on a diagonal. So we're not doing a front gymnastic walkover. We're also not quite doing a cartwheel. We find this 45-degree line in between, plant down here. So then, if we work on that hand placement and feel the rotation of the hips, not as we land, but somewhere when up just before our foot touches down onto the ground, rotate, kind of brings us in already. Even if it's like a bit of a hesitant attempt, we start to use all the drills we've worked on so far and it'll bring us into that shape. So we place the hands on that diagonal, rotate through the hips, pushing through the front cartwheel. And I'll show from this angle here. So for that previous drill, the hip rotation, like so. For this drill, instead of cartwheel placement, we have our front cartwheel placement on that diagonal. So I place my hands there, rotate the hips a bit earlier, everything just pieces together as it should do. I'm going to try the other side. Not as smooth, not as connected, but still there. That's actually just because of the drills. That's probably one of the better ones I do on this side. So again, 45-degree placement, rotate the hips a bit earlier, push through the shoulder, we land making sure. If we feel like we're collapsing when we try this, we're collapsing down. Notice what happened to that leg straight away. It didn't stay with tension, and obviously the heaviness of the leg is going to carry the rest of our weight down. So we need that stingray tail long and strong. It helps pull the rest of the body up. If it's not quite piecing together in chronological order as dictated by the timestamps of this video, then that's absolutely fine. In a world of instant gratification, just watching all of this, it's gonna take time to explore. Have a few goes at it. Have a breather, have a break from it, try it again the next day. If you feel like you're kind of somewhere there, you're collapsing down, you're not rotating the hips enough, and it's kind of still being a cartwheel and something's just not quite patching up. To get used to the body awareness, combine these two movements of this double foot forward macaco. You don't have to land upright. You can land just really strong through the hips. Combine that drill with the diagonal hand placement. And softly, softly catchy monkey. The awareness of the rotation of the hips will start to match up with the height of the movement. I think that's about it. Here's some cool variations to try once you have that dialed down.